What is going on, people? Today we're gonna go ahead and get this new familiar maxed. Well, I guess I shouldn't say new familiar because it's not necessarily new, but the Jade Wyrm does have a new army talent that is very, very good in my opinion. I'm only just reading what it does, so I haven't really tested it out. But I gotta say, man, it sounds like it's gonna be good in pretty much most situations outside of maybe blasts, but man, so we have Divine Fire at level 10. It reduces damage inflicted by enemies by 9% when 4% of your troops have fallen. Now, every time I see like, oh, X amount of percent has to fall before this familiar activates, etc. Sometimes it may be a little too high, like 10% of your troops or something, where it's like, well, that kind of sucks. But this one, 4% is not really a lot, and when you compare it to like the big ones, the 600% ones, it's right at 4% as well. So if you couple these four together and you add a fifth, depending on what it is that you're doing, that's going to be a really strong familiar, especially when you're talking about just whatever's hitting you is 9% weaker. That's really good. Like, it's really good across the board, whether it's a blast, whether it's mix on wander battles, and especially on the wall. I feel like this familiar is going to be one of those mainstays on your wall. So we do start with 1772. So let's see, let's go ahead and awaken. Go ahead and I'll just use gems. All right, so there goes level 1, level 2, level 3. Is this even worth it? Like at half the level? Let's see. 3.2%. That's still fairly good. That's not bad. As we all know, everything really gets good in the 8 to 9 range. That's when you really like to see these things. But, okay. We had a little bit over. There we go. Level 10. Divine Fire, 9%. Now, the first thing I want to go ahead and go to my station and take a look in how I want to set it up. So, I have Savage Breath, Holy Terran Giant's Fist, which is kind of like the go-to, right? Now, from there, I can either go with a shield, but if I go with a shield, it has to be like specifically whatever front I want it to be, or one of these. So, this has to be like very specific. But I want to go ahead and add this one, Divine Fire, because I feel like these four are gonna be like the main four familiars that you for sure want to have on your wall, regardless of what else. And then the last one, you can kind of leave it up to depending on like whatever front you want to have. Like if you're range front, you might want to go with the Snow Shield. If you're in front, you might want to go with another one. So for me, since I generally would take rallies in a range wedge, generally, because obviously if you're trying to counter, you might want to change. But this is, I'm setting up my wall for like worst case scenario, right? And worst case scenario is to catch me offline, and when I'm offline, I am generally going to be in a wedge. So I'm gonna go with this, but I can definitely see other people going a different route, like Drown Out. I think Drown Out would be better than Hearty Feast, because Hearty Feast will basically make your familiars proc later in the battle, which I don't know. I'd rather make the enemy weaker in general. So I could definitely see that. But for now, this is the familiar setup that I'm going with. And in a range wedge, I think this is going to be really strong. This setup right here is going to be super, super strong. Now, the other thing that I got to do is go ahead and max army size and pop that boost, because KVK is starting here in just a couple of minutes. And I got to go ahead and change my battalions because, first of all, I changed my leader. So that's the number one thing that I got to do. And the thing about this is that I don't think this familiar is actually going to be the best for blast attack, like any of these. I don't think it's actually going to crack the top 5 of the familiars, just because the other ones are so good. But where it will come in handy is the 424 and 442. So for 424, I think the one I'm going to go ahead and take out is this one. So where is it? I'm going to go ahead and put that one in, and Tailwind There we go. We'll go with that. And for 442, kind of the same thing. I'm going to take this one out and go like this. Obviously, there is some testing that needs to be done. But for now, this is what I think would be the best one in general. All the other ones, these ones I change often, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I definitely do want to do some tests. And I gotta say though, this new Jade familiar, I do believe it's more for wonder battles and defense in general, because this for your wall and for wonder battles is amazing. So now 9% at 4% damage, which basically goes on par with these. You're gonna have, whenever you get attacked, let's say you're a trap or just a normal castle or whatever, right? Whenever you get hit and you reach that 4% threshold, which for me right now, let me see, I am, let's just say I'm at 48 million, right? Let's just round up. So let's say I'm at 48 million and I have my wall essentially to proc when 4% of my troops go down, which at 48 million you're looking at roughly 2 million troops, just about, right? So that basically means that my familiars are not going to go off unless you counter me. And if you don't counter me, it doesn't matter, because if I counter you, you're really not going to do much damage to me anyway. But if you do counter me, which is what I suggest most people set their walls up for, unless you're trapping or something, then that goes out the window a little bit. But if you just want to make sure that you are trying to cover yourself for the worst case scenario, you're offline, you know, somebody's sending the counter to your front line, etc., have your familiars try to counter that instead of making it stronger. Like, oh, okay, you're hitting me with range, I'm going to go ahead and switch to infantry and all my infantry familiars. Well, I mean, that's great, but is it really going to help you that much? You're already countering, right? And that's the name of the game in this, is countering. So I have it set up to where it's just going to be the worst case scenario. And if it's the worst case scenario for me and you do 2 million damage, these familiars are all going to go off at the same time, the first 4. And the last one, the shield, goes off when it's 7% of my ranged troops. And so if I'm doing this, let me take a look. Let me do some quick maths real quick. How much range do I have? So I have 14, 15, let's just say 16 and a half, right? Let's go with 16 and a half, right? 16 and a half, just above 1 million, right? So that means that all of my familiars are going to proc if you do get the counter. And the shield is actually going to go up first, which, funny enough, usually the shield doesn't go up that fast. But the shield will go off first, meaning that I'm not going to take damage for a little bit. And then once you get through the shield, then you're going to have all of these 4 familiars proc. And that is essentially going to destroy your army. Like, once all of these familiars proc, not only is your army going to receive an immense amount of damage, you're also going to be dealing way less damage, 9% more all across your squads. So it's going to be really interesting. I like this familiar. It's not super overpowered, which is kind of what I was worried about. It's not super overpowered, but at the same time, it's very useful for many things. But the only downside I would say to this is that it's, like I said, it's not very good for like blast. I don't see it actually taking over any of the familiars that I have for blast at the moment. I just don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do some tests here as far as where this familiar might be the most useful. But it's undeniable that it's gonna be for wonder battles. You're gonna see this familiar pretty much everywhere now. And for defense on your wall, if you have this familiar, if you can max it out, put this familiar on your wall ASAP. 9% weaker every time you get attacked. Yeah, I'm gonna take that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I was actually, funny enough, I was actually trying to save up enough to get the Helldrider and finished it. As you guys know, I don't do the level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I don't do that. I'm not gonna have something that I can't even use. I save until I can max it out. And this time, honestly, it saved me. Now, I wouldn't say it saved me, because Helldrider is not a bad familiar, but if I was to choose between the two, I would for sure go with Jade Wyrm. So, funny enough, I was saving up to where I can just take out Helldrider all the way up to 10, and because I didn't do the, oh, I'm just going to get it to level 6, because I can just get it to level 6 now, because I didn't do that, I saved just enough and just in time to get Jade Wyrm to max instead. Now, don't get me wrong, Helldrider, I do want to unlock this as well, because it does well, but I don't think it's going to be as used as this one. Not even close. Not even close. But anyway, KVK is about to begin. By the time this video is up, it might have already started anyway. So hopefully you guys don't get zeroed out there. Be smart and farm if you have to. I mean, there's no shame in that. Unless you're against us, then yeah, go in Fury. But yeah, appreciate you guys for coming through. And until later. Bye.